welcome along to part 118 of this FM21 story, The Head Coach with me, Daniel. We're back on the 23rd of June with Juventus, but as we've said through the last couple of episodes, we're not going to be sticking around. Today though, we've got our first job offer and something to consider. We're going to continue our look throughout the summer as well. So if you're looking forward to finding out who the offer's from, whether we're going to accept it and what else we're going to do, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe down below for daily FM21 content from 2 long-term stories. Links to the Twitch channel up in the eye above. We're going to be streaming a quarter-final from the Euros both tomorrow and Saturday. But in the meantime, we've got to talk about big plans here in the Head Coach. I didn't feel right retiring. I don't feel like the work here is done. So if we go and have a look at what's happening since you were last with me, there are quite a few jobs that have popped up. I'm not going to lie about that. If we have a look at the job centre, you can see we applied for the Rangers job. We are very heavy favourite for it. There are also still the Bundesliga job, still a few going in the Australian League as well. But there's not really a great deal happening on a club level because all of the international managers are tied into their tournaments. I'm guessing a few club managers will go thereafter. So it's sort of narrowed it down to 2 options for us. Do we go all out for the Rangers job, or do we stay and become an international manager only? Now, I don't know I'm ready to give up club football yet. And there's a good chance that we won't be, because Glasgow Rangers have offered us a job. Now, this is a move back home. This is something that we're just looking to wind down in our career. We've had enough of all of the big pressure, the biggest trophies, the biggest prima donnas on hundreds of thousands a week, of which we've been one as a manager. We want to go back to where it all began and take a step closer to home. And Rangers may well present the perfect opportunity to do that. So the expectations of the club is to qualify for the Champions League. They want to challenge for the Scottish Premiership title a year after, and they want to maintain that title years after that. So there's not actually an expectation to win the Scottish Premiership. So we still haven't won it in our career. We got Hibs up to 2nd place. It sort of ruined Rangers' stint a little bit. And we're being offered 20 grand a week, which is still a very good wage. The couple of little difficulties that popped up during our interview. Firstly, they haven't got any money. We've got to work with limited resources. There's no transfer budget in the summer. The director of football's in place, but what's he really going to do for us? Because he's not going to be able to improve the squad much. This might actually, as a head coach challenge, be our biggest ever test of coaching as well. So I know over the last couple of days you guys have been letting me know what you want, but this seems like the perfect legacy to leave. A 3-year deal back in Scotland where it all began. A real opportunity to try and complete the job we started in that nation. It's given us so much via Brechin, Arbroath, Dundee where we won the Scottish Cup of course, and also Hibernian too. And now we've got to try and overhaul Hibernian and get back towards the top of Scottish football. So for me, I've got to accept this job. This is going to be our next move. It won't be our only move though. We will still look for an international job after the summer tournament's finished. But we're just going to see what we can do. Rangers is the priority at the moment, just because it's our only route back to Scotland where it all began, at a club where we can make something special happen. A club that have had their struggles over recent years. If we have a look at them very briefly, they've not won the Scottish title since 2026. To put that into perspective, that's only a year after we left Scotland. They haven't won it for the last 6 seasons. And even beyond that, if we go and look at their competition history in recent years, the Scottish Premiership, obviously they haven't won it the last 6 years. They've not even been 2nd place in 3 of those 6 seasons. The Scottish Cup, they've only won it twice in the last 6 years. The League Cup, 3 times out of the last 6 years. Nothing at all in the last 2 seasons. They've not won the League Cup since 2030. They've not won the Scottish Cup for 3 seasons. It really is a very bizarre situation with Rangers. But I feel like this is a challenge too good to refuse. It's not the sort of opportunity you often get. So we're going to try and edge that up by 250 quid a week. We want 20 grand a week. We're not going to put anything more in terms of winning the League Cup. The relegation wage drop doesn't matter because we're not going to get relegated. Let's see if they accept it. They do. So Glasgow Rangers may be the final club move of this series. But an opportunity I just didn't think we could turn down. We're going to go ahead as always and meet the staff and the players and get ready for what should be our final challenge of our long and successful club career. Well, here we go then. Rangers hire us. £2.5 million paid to Juventus. We've got to be fair to them. They gave us the opportunity to talk to Rangers. Rangers couldn't afford to shortlist us because of the compensation demands. Juventus reduced them after we won the league. There's a 3.5-star reputation. The media expect them to finish second still, so maybe slightly underperforming to be behind Hibs half the seasons. This year they lost in the 5th round of the Scottish Cup, the quarter-final of the League Cup, and they enter at the playoff in the Europa League, so maybe we can get some European football in as well. The facility's still generally very good. Exceptional youth recruitment is sure to help. Let's have a quick look at the director of football and the assistant manager, shall we? I tell you what, this is going to sound a little bit weird given some of the clubs we've been at recently. Is Ross Wilson not the best director of football we've ever worked for? Look at his attributes, he's absolutely fantastic. Been at another of our former clubs, Southampton, in the 2010s as well. He's a really good director of football. He might be able to make miracles happen on a shoestring budget. If we get to Europe, he might have a big January. If we have a look at our assistant, solid enough, does the job. Been here a number of years. I thought I recognised the name. He starts the career at Dundee United. And we had him in our live stream series on YouTube, didn't we? So certainly a positive start on the non-playing side of things. We've obviously still got the brilliant stadium in Ibrox. Let's get through the rest of the introductions, because we all want to meet the players and the staff. They're suggesting the 4-2-3-1. That might just be because that's what we played. And of course we know a lot about the club culture. No big contracts to over 33s, sign players to sell for a profit. So that's really our job, isn't it? Is to make sure that we get into a financial position where we don't have to be a selling club. They still want to develop their own players, they still want to sign young players, and they want to make the most of set pieces, which is a slightly odd one. But let's go and get through to our first day in the job. We want to meet the rest of that non-playing team. We want to meet the rest of the players as well. This is going to be a massive opportunity, but also a really big challenge as well. So let's go and see what's in store for us, shall we? Starting off with the staff. Okay, into the staffing, and the first thing that hits me is the same thing that I'd completely forgotten from our previous stints in Scotland. Why is it that all the Scottish clubs love multiple assistant managers? I've never seen any other nation or club where that comes across so regularly, but we've had it at least 3 or 4 of our 5 clubs in Scotland, and it's the same at Rangers here again. We've seen Stephen Frail already, but there's also Danish assistant manager Peter Sorensen, who arguably is slightly better, doesn't quite have the man management skills. But another assistant, 2 supporting us, on the coaching field that will help out. I'm just seeing there's some classic names as well. Graham Smith, former goalkeeper, he's played at Rangers before. There's also Nicky Weaver, former Manchester City goalkeeper. He's coaching in the reserves for the goalkeepers. Lee McCulloch's still involved as an under-18 coach, not the best attributes in the world though. I'm just seeing if there's any real standouts. Our reserve manager Brian Gilmore is pretty average. And I guess that leaves recruitment, doesn't it? Have we not got a head of youth development? Oh, we have. Craig Mulholland. A decent judge of ability and potential, but he's also a very good coach for the youngsters. He's been there for a long time. He's become a bit of the furniture there, and he's doing a really good job. So we're going to keep him involved as well. I would like to get a few youngsters through, really build a bit of a legacy here in our final club job. Unless, of course, we get sacked early on and have to move on. Let's go and have a look at the chief scout. That's the other one that normally matters. Andy Scalding on $3,000 a week. Very good judge of potential again. So looking at getting those young players in the future. I mean, he's got quite a CV, hasn't he? Forget the Salford bit. Valencia, England, Liverpool, Fulham. He's someone who's going to know the ropes. So I'm looking forward to working with him. Been at Rangers over 15 years again. There are a lot of people that have been here a long time. And that either means a shake-up's going to be needed, which we won't be in charge of here, or it could be our biggest strength that we've got unity and continuity off the pitch. I've just noticed Graham Murty, a former manager, is there as head performance analysis still as well. Still going strong again. Good judge of potential seems to be the theme across our non-coaching team, and particularly throughout all of our recruitment departments. But that's a really good start for us. Of course, it is a head coach challenge. For those who haven't been here before, we have no say in transfers, contracts or staffing. So these guys could all go tomorrow. We just don't know. We've got a Spanish chairman, which could have a cultural impact, but so far doesn't seem to from the club culture items or the vision items at all. So with that done, let's get through the youth team. If there's anyone we want to promote to the first, and then we'll have a look at the senior squad, because that's what we're all here for. Let's get through the reserves. I'm just looking at it now. Peter Burns looks a stunning youngster. So I think we probably have to promote him, because he's the one who's really going to make it. And he's a 16-year-old who's come through the academy. He's Scottish. He's going to be a future international. No others with massive potential in the Rangers reserves. What about the 18s? Not at all. Not a very good under-18 squad. So let's go and get into the seniors. This is what we're all here for. Are we going to get a horror show or a massive positive? I'm just seeing if there's anyone we recognise initially. Harwood Bellis, we had him at Cliftonville last year, didn't we? Finn Malcolm's there. We managed him at Dundee United. He never really developed in that safe. Here he's become an absolute masterstroke. 11 million quid he's worth, and he's still there at Rangers. Into the midfield, Martin Palumbo's a youngster in real life. February, Jack Harrison, the former Leeds man, but he's about to leave, isn't he? He's 35 years of age now. So let's just go and have a look at them. If we put them in star rating order, according to our assistant, we've got one good goalkeeper to start with. I mean, going forward, we don't look too bad at all. We've got Fangero in goal. Tiago is the Portuguese keeper. He's a former under-21 international, and he's very good in fairness. Conceded less than one a game over 3 years. Instinctive goalkeeper. I've not seen that description too much before. Very good technically, but got that tendency to punch. Not sure how that's going to work out in FM, but a really solid starting block. I mean, of course, we don't really know what the standard of Hibs or Celtic are, so I'm sort of comparing this to our Hibs side from 5 to 6 years ago, and then hoping it's a little bit stronger than that. Fangero probably just about meets that category. As a young backup goalkeeper in Alexandra Masson, he's not great, but he's going to be a number 2 keeper. Into defence, we've got Taylor Harwood Bellis, 30 years of age now, experienced centre-half who came through the City Academy. We of course managed him at Cliftonville last year, and he's a quality centre-half. I really think his experience is going to be important, his personality, his leadership. He's going to be a regular. When did he join the club? Oh, he's been here for years as well. So he's going to be one of the stalwarts for the first season. I'm pretty sure of that. Alongside him, there's another 3-star defender, Magnus Bowman. He's a 23-year-old Swede. Already an international, looks a good player. Got really big potential. I wouldn't say he's quite as good as Harwood Bellis at the moment, but he's played for some big clubs, made a league appearance for United, played for West Ham, played for Coventry, and he's had an okay season here. So he's someone who, as he develops, will play more and more. The other centre-half that was involved was Finlay Burns. 3.5-star ability, 3.5 potential. 29 years of age now. He's an Englishman who came through the City Academy, has played for Leeds, has played in the MLS, and has played for Rangers over 100 times now. Not the best physically, but a very good defender. Really good in the pass as well, likes to play out from the back. I mean, on paper, I'd say him and Harwood Bellis are just about the best two. But the other lad's younger and the one that's going to be the future of Rangers. So we might have to think about that as the season goes on. We've obviously talked about the 16-year-old Peter Burns. He's going to give us a bit of strength in depth and future excitement for the club. Then we move on to the first choice right back listed, which is Murray Reid. 24 years of age, 3.5-star ability and potential. Scottish international, super right back. Can cover at centre-half if needed, has a brilliant personality. The positioning attribute is fantastic. We always talk about the importance of that. And he's an academy player. Been here for 10 years, broke through into the team after a couple of loan spells. We are very happy to make him part of our first 11. Murray Reid is going to stay. Jaden February is next up. Listed as a winger, but I know he is a natural fullback. And more importantly, he's 2-footed and can play left and right back. Now, given the other left backs and what their star rating is according to the assistant, that could be quite important. Having said that, he's not started for this club for much of last season, although he has only been here 1 year, so maybe he's just settling in. He is 29 years of age now. He was a former England under-21 international, and he is very versatile. He's not the best defender though. He's relying on his mentality again, his 2-footedness, and having that physicality to get him out of trouble. But February, a good youngster, came through at West Ham, has played for loads of clubs, including one of our former head coach ones in Hibs, and Derby as well actually. Joined both of them just after we left. So a really good player and an option at left back. And he can cover on the right too. So very good squad player if nothing else. Carlos Martins is a 22-year-old left back. Rated 2.5-star ability, 3-star potential. I don't think he's that bad. I mean, he is a little bit limited going forward, isn't he? He's a very defensive fullback. But he's solid enough at what he does. He's very short. He's not got the best acceleration in the world. But he'll do a job as a squad player. I'm happy enough with him. I think February might be first choice for most of the league games, and maybe Martins will play in Europe when we need a defensive option. But again, a very versatile one, can play the holding role, can play right back, can play wing back. Gives us many options if we need them. So a decent defence. I wouldn't be complaining if we went out and got a really good centre-half or a really good left back. But I'm pretty happy with where we are, and there's a couple of gems in there as well. Let's get into midfield. Martin Palumbo is one of the star players at the club. 4-star ability, 4-star potential, 30 years of age. Oh, he's very good. He's a proper Italian playmaker. He's great on the ball, got good vision. Not the best physically, but enough to do a job. And naturally fit, which is all that matters. Mentally, he's very good. He's a professional player. Played 100 games for Rangers. Has played for Derby, our former head coach club as well. Obviously was at Udinese. Has played for Leeds and Alaves too. Really good player. Got loads of assists and goals from midfield last season. I like him. Martin Palumbo is definitely going to be a starter. Next up, we've got Iman Griffith, a 3.5-star left winger apparently. Oh, but he's very versatile. Can play on either wing, can play number 10 or centre midfield. He's on massive money by the club standards. I think that's the highest paid player we've had by a long way. And I wouldn't say he actually deserves that. I mean, he's a good player. He scored a lot of goals last season. And he is clearly a quality prospect out wide. Really agile, which means he can turn and cut around defenders pretty well. And he's not the worst technically. But I certainly wouldn't say he's going to be setting the world alight. I mean, one positive is most of our squad have had a really good personality. Either resolute, determined, professional. And that's something we've been looking for. Spent most of his career in the Netherlands. Has been at Rangers for the last 4 or 5. But going to be a useful player for us. Probably a starter in truth. Just not quite as good as we were perhaps expecting. Next up is Dean Craig. He's 2.5-star ability, 3-star potential. Now, he's a Scottish player who came through the ranks at St Johnstone. Has played for Mainz and Cagliari as well. And he's alright. I don't know if he should be rated better than 2.5-star. Can play off either wing yet again. He's a right footer naturally. He's a good technical player in the key areas, but he's limited elsewhere. Very good physically and okay mentally. I mean, he ticks every box, doesn't he? As a squad player in the SPL, I certainly think he'll do a job for us. Back into the centre of midfield with the next one, Kaspar Lewandowski. He's a 28-year-old 3.5-star centre mid. Can play number 10 as well. Again, very good on the ball. And that natural balance, having a playmaker in Palumbo and then a Mazzala in Lewandowski, that could be a good combo. He's a Polish international, scores a lot of goals for them. Didn't play much for Rangers this year, was a backup option for the most part. Now that either means there's a few more stunning midfielders to come, or alternatively, his last manager wasn't very bright and probably should have been playing him. Has he been injured? Has he had problems off the pitch? Because he looks good enough to me. Still got 2 years on his contract. He's an excellent decision maker, he's an excellent footballer, and he's very quick with a good engine. I think he's a perfect player. He certainly suits this league down to the ground, and he'll be involved in my teams, that's for sure. Andy Zakiri is a 33-year-old right winger. He is still okay physically. He's actually a striker naturally. Probably not my sort of player. He's more of that deep lying forward, comes back, gets on the ball. He's not really one who's going to run in behind. He's not one who's going to be a superstar on the ball. And he's not one that's going to be electric quick, running the channels and working hard. He does like to place his shots. He likes to try tricks. He's a bit of a flamboyant player. And he scored plenty of international goals for Switzerland. But considering he's been a regular starter for Rangers this season, I'm not sure he's going to do that for us. He's only got 1 year left on his contract. He's the second highest earner at the club. I wouldn't be devastated if the director of football sold him. Of course, as we mentioned though, we're not going to be in charge of that. Let's move down to Damian Martin out, who is a 3.5-star right winger. Can't cross the ball to save his life, and that's because he's actually a number 10. So I don't think his attributes are superb. Probably a bit more of an attacking midfielder, despite his preferred role according to the assistant. Not the best technically, which for a number 10 is a little bit surprising. Amazing physically, really good determination, really hard worker. Strikes me of sort of like a Dirk Kuyt type who just likes to work hard, a defensive style forward who's going to be a real asset for the team with his movement. So I think he's going to be involved. I think he's going to be an important cog in the wheel. Got 9 goals last season, has played well for Rangers for a couple of years now, but never really quite made it at the top clubs he played for, like Lyon. He is wanted and he's worth shed loads of money, so I wouldn't be shocked to see him go. But he's a good enough player. He'll certainly contribute if he's involved and if he's still here next season. Next up is Abdelkader Haji. He is a 3-star ability left winger with 3.5 potential. Proper traditional winger. Crosses, dribbles, good technique, agility and pace, and likes to work hard. That is a proper old school winger. He's a good young Frenchman. He's got a bit of potential. He's a solid backup player. Again, he's wanted, which is a concern, but I'll happily have him as a backup if no one else wants him. Up front, we've got 2 superstars, one name familiar, one not so much. Morten Gertsen is the first one. He's a 23-year-old 4-star ability winger apparently. His slight concern is he wants a new deal, and that's because he's not earning much money and he's one of the best players. However, this does leave us with a bit of a problem. He's a right-footed left midfielder. He can't play as the attacking winger so well, and he's also probably a very different style winger to what we're used to. And if we played him further up the left-hand side, he'd be an inverted winger. His personality is incredible. He's so driven. He's brilliant physically again. But technically, a few of these players have limitations. We have got a lot of Danes actually in the coaching team and now in the playing staff too. He came through at Midtjylland. He's played for City. He's now at Rangers. He's had a good career CV so far, but I'm not sure he's going to be the answer to our problems, and he might actually give us a tactical worry. I think the thing we've definitely seen from this is we're going to be playing a back four. It is probably going to be the 4-2-3-1. It's the only tactic that seems to suit what we've got, but these two strikers have got to be good. Finn Malcolm, a player that never really developed in our Dundee United save. Every other one we've been involved in, this save, the Bangor City one, he's become incredible. He's got 3.5-star ability, he's now 28 years of age, and if nothing else, he should be a big goal scorer. Oh, he is. He just is. I mean, he didn't play a lot last season, and I don't get why. He's not actually got a good goal-scoring record for Rangers. He wants a new challenge. I'm going to try and tempt him round. Scoring at 1 and 2 for Scotland, scored loads for Dundee United. But he must be being played out of position, because if he plays in our team, he ends his unhappiness and he's at his best. He will score at least 25 goals this season. Incredible finisher. Physically, he's monstrous. Mentally, he's got all the right attributes, the composure, the anticipation, the off the ball. He is the perfect advance forward. I'd argue he's better than Bongiorni in the key attributes. I have to get him to stay because he's going to be a superstar for me. I've got to talk to him, I've got to win him rounds, and then the director of football has got to make sure he doesn't let him go. Everything we want in a striker and more. Finn Malcolm, how is he not rated the second best player at the club behind Palumbo? He's not worse than Gertsen. But we've got to keep him. The backup striker is Kieran Henderson. He's got a slight concern as well. Basically a less good version of the same thing. He's a Rangers Youth Academy player. Played more than Finn Malcolm last year and scored a lot of goals. Physically, again, absolutely exceptional. Can play off the right wing despite not being the best crosser of the ball. Might be ideal as like a Ram Deuter or something like that. Could be a threat from that sort of area. Reminds me a little bit of Thomas Muller with his attributes actually. A less good version. He is a decent finisher. He's got a good touch. And he's got good composure and off the ball again. He's got all the attributes we'd like. We've just got to find a place for him in the team. Whether that's as a backup striker, a Ram Deuter off the right. Because I'm not blown away by any of the right wingers we've got. And in fact, if you consider that Zakiri's a striker, Martinel's a centre mid, we haven't actually got a great right winger at the club. So that might be a solution to that problem. It is a slightly smaller squad than we'd like. And considering there's no budget and the club is financially in an absolute mess, we could be in a little bit of trouble next year. It does make me think, will Martinel get sold on for like 15-20 million? Will we potentially end up selling Haji? Will Zakiri go? Jack Harrison's going to be a big one off the wage bill as well. There's got to be some changes because this club can't keep functioning the way it is. Yes, we can get them into the Europa League. We can build the budgets again. But there aren't many massive assets there that we can replace for less money. And that's where the concern's going to come. This is a proper rebuilding job. But the spine of the team is there, and if we can work around it gradually, we could create something special here at Glasgow Rangers. I'm not sure the fixtures have come out yet, they haven't, so we're not going to know who we're going to start with next season. But we will be back for our first game in charge with Rangers, first competitive game at the very least. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of wheeling and dealing in the market. Our director of football is exceptional. He might be able to find a free agent, you never know. If you're looking forward to our move back to Scotland though, and our first opportunity to go back to where it all began, please do chuck a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe for daily FM21 videos from Two Long Term Stories. It's a massive year in our Builder Nation with Bangor City too. There's regular live streams over on Twitch, the links to that and all the other playlists up in the eye above. And please do subscribe to the food channel if you haven't already. We're just trying to get it off the ground and it does make a massive difference. But a big thank you for watching. Your support as always is incredible. And I'll see you next time for our first game at Glasgow Rangers and our return to Scotland after 7.5 years away.